I predicted when I was with you on Thursday, just before game one of this series between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. I said Denver was going to come out game one. Miami had to get used to the altitude. Miami wasn't going to play well. The undrafted kids, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, were not going to shoot well. Denver was going to roll over Miami in game one. Miami would get their legs underneath them. They'd make more shots. Eric Spoelstra, probably the best head coach in today's NBA, would make adjustments. Miami would win a very close game. We'd go back to Miami tied at 1 game apiece. Voila! What happened was exactly what I predicted. Thursday night, again, these guys, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, could not hit a shot for their life. Jimmy Butler went back to games 3 through 5 and most of game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston. Jimmy Butler was not Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo was the only person on the Miami Heat that were able to make a shot. Nikola Jokic had about 10 assists at halftime. He was dominating, passing the ball. Nobody could miss for the Denver Nuggets, and boom, the Nuggets took advantage of game one. But the telling thing after game one, which is why I was very surprised when a lot of people in the media the next day on Friday came out and said, "Oh, this is going to be a sweep. Denver's going to sweep Miami." I said, there's no way in hell Miami is getting swept by Denver. And as a matter of fact, after I watched game one, I was even more confident that Miami was going to win game two. Why? Because going into the fourth quarter, the Miami Heat had 63 points. In today's NBA, which is all about analytics, 3 points, dunks, barely any defense, even in the NBA Finals. And yet the Miami Heat, within 4 minutes left in the ball game, were within a 10 to 9 point margin, and they were starting to shoot the lights out of the gym. They were starting to get their feet underneath them, and Denver was getting tight in late game situations. Why? Because the Miami Heat, it doesn't matter if they blow you out. It doesn't matter if they're in a very close game. They can adapt. They're physical. They're tough. They just know how to play basketball, and they are survivors. They know what they have to do to win basketball games. And then what do they do last night? They make the smart strategic adjustment, Sunday night. They make the smart strategic adjustment to bring Kevin Love into the starting lineup, which you could see early in game one. Aaron Gordon against Caleb Martin was a mismatch. I did not understand why Spoelstra did not play Kevin Love in game one, but we saw it. It was kind of like a surprise thing, if you will. He wanted to institute him into the starting lineup for not playing 0 minutes, give Denver a different look to start off the next game. Thinking ahead, that was smart of him. That's not something I thought of. That's what the best coaches in the NBA do. So Kevin Love comes in. He doesn't score a lot, but he produces enough, and he gives Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and Duncan Robinson then in the fourth quarter when Kevin Love was taken off the floor. But especially early on in the game with Strus and Gabe Vincent, once again, these two undrafted players leading the way for the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, whatever you want to call him, has not been the same really since about game 2 against Boston. You can even go back a little bit further than that in the Knicks series. And as I keep saying, Bam Adebayo has had a really good series. I think he's actually done a pretty good job against Nikola Jokic, given the circumstances, who had a phenomenal game last night. But again, if you watched game one and you saw Jokic have 10 assists in the first half, finish with 15 something assists, when you watch that, you said, okay, if Denver's going to make all these shots and Jokic is going to get all these assists and he's still going to get 20 something points, we're going to lose. So what should we do? Let's let Jokic get 50. Let's let him get 60, 70. Who cares? Let's let him go a Donovan Mitchell game that Donovan Mitchell had this past season. But let's limit Jokic's assists, because if he's the only one scoring, that means Jamal Jamal Murray is out of rhythm, which he struggled in game 2 till the very end, and even had a shot to win the game, because that's what the 3-point shot does in today's game of basketball. You can come back very quickly. Okay, let's limit Bruce Brown, who had a very good game 1. Let's limit Michael Porter's production, KCP's production, Jeff Green's production. They got the kid Braun out of Kansas coming in. He made a few nice defensive plays, and Denver even went on like a 40-15 run in game 2. But the bottom line is Miami withstood that run. And even in game 1, right, when Denver was blowing out Miami, we all thought it was over after 3 quarters. Nope, here comes Miami in the 4th quarter. Gave them confidence going into game 2. Again, Denver weathered the initial storm of Miami in game 2, blitzed them, but at the end of the half, Miami was down 6. It gave Miami confidence. They came back on in the second half. They made their shots. Everybody plays their part, and it is a modern day basketball. I've been saying it since about the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship in 2021. When you look closely at today's NBA, it's not about the big 3. It's not even about the big 2. It's not about duos. It's not about having the best player. It's not about having the stars. It's about having the role players that can make big shots in the key moments and give you production where you don't expect, because everybody is so talented now. I mean, you can make a case there's not a bona fide clear cut best player in the NBA anymore. Obviously, you got Giannis, Embiid, LeBron, Steph, KD, Kawhi Leonard, Jokic. There are so many names, but yet all of them, and as I said on Thursday, whether it's been injuries, whether it's age, whether it's not being able to get it done in the postseason when it matters, they all have flaws. And the one thing about this Miami Heat team, again, they're supposed to be the deeper team. Denver in the first half of game 2, their bench outscored Miami in the first half 23-5, which should not be happening. But Miami, again, they just rebound. They weather the storm. They're confident. They know what they have to do. And Denver can go sometimes into these logs where they don't score on the baskets if they're too joker dependent. If you cut off Jamal Murray, which I thought that was a good adjustment by Spoelstra in game 2 to bring Jimmy Butler over and guard Jamal Murray after essentially Gabe Vincent and Kyle Lowry as well, by the way, who hit some huge threes, including some pick and rolls that Denver switched. Lowry got Jokic on him. Nice step back 3 that pretty much almost ended the ball game until again Denver went on that little bit of a spurt, even though it wasn't the full quarter like Miami had in game 1 in the 4th quarter. Denver finished strong, but again just could not do it. That would have been an incredible shot by Jamal Murray to send it into overtime. But the fact of the matter is, Miami Heat, they do not depend on one score. Their best player has not played a good game in probably 8 freaking playoff games, and yet they survived against Boston. They stole one in Denver like I predicted, and I think Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, all these guys are going to hit all their shots in game 3, where Denver will traditionally struggle on the road. I think Miami actually routs Denver in game 3 on Wednesday. And then when we come back to this podcast on Thursday, I will predict actually that Denver will win game 4. That, of course, is on Friday in Miami. And we will go back to Denver tied at 2 games apiece, with a pivotal game 5 on that Monday. That will probably be the best game in the series. I predict it will be a very close, very nick and tuck game. The winner of that game will probably more than likely win the series. But again, credit to the Miami Heat. I'm not wavering on my prediction. Before the series, I predicted Miami Heat in 6. I'm sticking to it. Heat in 6. They are a resilient, phenomenal team. And you know what? Again, this is today's modern day NBA. Nikola Jokic has probably been the best player in the series. I've given Jokic some slack. I do not think he's the best player in the world at this point. But I'll tell you what, he sets great screens. He's a great passer. He can score at will. But if you allow Jokic to score and limit his assists, can those other Denver guys go off? Jamal Murray is going to have a big series. He's going to have to be a big compliment to Jokic if Denver's going to win that series. He was not in game 2. We'll see if he does it in game 3. I'm so looking forward to it. For those, and I'm one of those included, that really wanted a Lakers Celtics or a Lakers Heat finals. I wasn't too thrilled about Denver, Miami, but this is starting to become a very competitive series, regardless of what the ratings and what anybody in the internet says. 2 really good, fun games of basketball, the first 2 games. Excited for game 3 on Wednesday. You like that clip from the Brand's World Podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World Podcast right here on YouTube.